Today's update doesn't come from the garage. So I figured before we even bolt up the transmission, I wanted to have everything kind of all my ducks in a row. So I'm working on this and setting it all up exactly how it's going to go. One of the things that I was going to point out are this connector that actually goes on the actual transmission itself. And I'll talk about this a little bit later. So I went ahead and bought all of the clips, pretty much every clip that you see here, the bushing. This arm's actually the original one, so it's kind of rusted out, but it kind of works. These clips, heck, even down here, this little white one there, yeah, see? That one makes everything. I tried to keep it brand new, so it's so that we know there's no points of failure. But I also noticed that there's some revisions on the E36 that I wasn't aware of. For example, I had bought this bushing right here. I bought it for my year car, which is a 93, but I didn't realize that in the 96 it actually went oval. The one from the 93 is actually round, so I bought the wrong one. So beware where you're sourcing these things, because these are the things that if you want to be a purist and want to get them all brand new, just notice that there's slight revisions that I really wasn't aware of. And then the big one that really got me was here, this shaft that actually connects to the transmission. This is actually where transmission ends here, and this is going to link into it here. But what you're going to be able to see right here is, look at this. Yeah, this one is the revision. Actually, it came with my transmission. And this one is too short. And apparently on the early E36s, it's actually shorter. So weirdly enough, I had actually ordered the correct one by accident. And actually put it up on the transmission already. But just notice that this little gizmo right here, it is longer on the newer E36s. So, I think you can actually tell by this bar because both ends are the exact same size. I believe on the revision, one of them is longer, which is to accommodate for this. That's one of the things that I wanted to point out. But so far, everything else has been pretty smooth. I went ahead and finished this. One of the things that I worked on today was actually removing the differential bolts. I'm taking all those out. They're all full of gunk, so I'm cleaning those out for whenever I'm, kind of be one step ahead. After we're done with this, then the transmission is actually going up. It'll be the next few days. It's kind of rainy, and I can't seem to get a hold of my brother, so I figured, let's handle the little things beforehand. Okay, so it's finally time to tackle the pressure plate. Yeah, that means that we're so close. I can almost feel it. It's almost time to put this transmission up. First thing I wanted to tell you, make sure you clean this area with some brake cleaner. Spray it, clean it down really good. We want to make sure that this surface area is completely clear of any kind of chemicals or debris. So that way it makes a really good connection to the clutch disc. Okay. Second, these are the bolts that I just purchased for the pressure plate. They did not come with the clutch kit. I completely assumed they would be there, but then I realized my car was automatic, so there was no reason for these to actually be there. So I had to order them and wait for them to come in. Pay attention to the very top of them. I mean, there's no way to see this, so I'm not even gonna bother. But on the back, on the top, there's gonna be a stamp of the grade of bolts. In this case, they're stamped with 8.8 grade. There's a whole different torque value for these. I will let you know what that torque value is in just a little bit. I may write it on the video. I may just update it in another video. But the torque is completely different on the 8.8 and the 10.7. It could be 7, something like that. So keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm gonna go under the car, put this up, put this in, torque it down, show you what it looks like, and then I know we're gonna be ready to finally put up the transmission. So yes! Okay, so I promised an answer. 8.8 grade bolts, 18 foot-pounds. Mighty torque wrench, 18 foot-pounds. Alright everybody, update time. As you can tell, transmission is up. The supporting beam is up. But one of the things that I wanted to point out is this. See, we had to use the wooden beam right in that spot. Let me see if I can get a closer look. Right before the what is it, the oil cooler? Yeah. And we literally lifted the oil pan so we can get a tilt down on the engine, and we're able to slide the transmission in. We must have spent 20 minutes trying every which way to get this thing, and it would always get hung up on the firewall. But the moment we were able to tilt the engine down, this thing went in smooth as butter. And honestly, you don't have video because it really wasn't memorable. It literally just locked in. We went ahead and put it and torqued all the bolts. We even, since remember this is a 93, so we have the non-threaded starter bolts as well. So we were able to get into the engine compartment, and we went ahead and locked down and tighten up all the starter bolts there. And as you can tell here, then I went ahead and put in the clutch, the slave cylinder, and our new what is it, the braided line should be in here somewhere. We see there's the clutch slave, there's the braided line. So the goal now is to take the wood beam off there, and it'll straighten it out. And today we're actually putting the shifter in. So, you know, that big empty gap there is actually going to get filled with our shift pump. So, yay! Progress. Progress. Hey, minor hiccup today. So when I went to install the shifter components, I had an issue with the shift selector rod. I realized that it was a little longer and it was keeping the shifter kind of all the way up against the console. And obviously that's not normal. And I realized that I got this selector arm, and you can see here it has a nice little bend in the middle. Well, that's actually the ZF one, not the Get Rag one. So keep that in mind when you have that. Now I have to order one of these brand new. So just when I thought I didn't have to buy yet another part, apparently the one that's actually correct for my car is actually like perfectly straight. Almost looks like this is an optical illusion there, but it looks perfectly straight and it's slightly shorter. This one with the bend is actually meant to clear the guibo on the ZF transmission, because if you put it this way, it'll kind of rise a little higher. But yeah, so that's the main purpose of it. I've heard of people actually bending these. I didn't really want to mess with that, so I ordered the correct one. So now we have to sit and wait yet again. And then we continue the shifter installation. So, okay, so while we wait on the shift selector rod to actually show up, we figured, after that, then, there's very few things that we need to do in the bottom of the car. So I figured let's just start with the engine again and let's start putting it back. But I wanted to also know that since we actually took the intake manifold off, one thing that I highly recommend everybody do is right here, the idle control valve. This thing just slides up and pulls out once everything's out. And remember, all that does is control your idle. So if you had idle problems before that, just spray it down with some carb cleaner or some alcohol, rub it out, make sure it's completely dry, and then put it back in, and you'll notice that your idle will be nice and smooth from that point forward. So I've done that a few times with the car. I figure every time that the intake manifold goes out, easiest time to reach it, so why not just keep cleaning it every time it's out. So keep that in mind. Great opportunity. And then from here on out, I'm just going to keep trying to put together the rest of the engine. We never even went over this when we first started the video, so I'm not really going to go over it. There's lots of videos on how to take the intake manifold off, but if you have any questions, definitely feel free to send us a message and we'll try to answer it as quick as possible. So just keep watching.